afterwards you want to spend time with Stephanie, my sense is she's going to allow that. I'm going to be here for a while. So please feel free to come and talk to her after. So now what she wants to do is to open it up to questions. And these are the questions you've always wanted to know. Cindy, you can start because we can hear you. You've got a question for her. I know you do. Now, if anybody doesn't think you can hear Cindy, you don't know Cindy.
Okay. I would like to know how you explained to Lathan what was happening to you and what that meant to you.
First, I'm going to tell you that I agreed to do this with Michelle, and it's no questions are barred, no holds barred. I will answer anything about chemo, my faith, my family. So anything you want to ask, now's the time to do it. And by the way, since this is Lemonade Day, I am wearing yellow underwear.
I was going to show us.
I will show you my yellow underwear. There you go.
If you see that picture up there.
By the way, that is my scar. It's covered up a little bit by the sweater. And Amy and I did these pictures, and we presented them to the New Hampshire Cancer Society during Colon Cancer Awareness Month. They didn't pick them up this year, but we're hoping to do it again for next year. And Cindy's question was, how did we talk to Lathan? Lathan was 6 when I was diagnosed, and quite frankly, we had no idea what to tell him and how much to tell him. We went to the American Cancer Society and we got some literature. We talked to a couple of social workers on how to talk to children. He attends Salem Christian School, and his first grade teacher was going to be here today, and she got lost. We had very open communication with the school, with the principal, and with Mrs. Kilby, so we were always on the same page. And we basically sat down and we said, Lathan, Mommy has a germ in her belly. It's not the kind of germ that you can get. It's not like a cold. It's in Mommy's belly. And the medicine that they're going to give Mommy is going to make her even sicker. As crazy as that sounds, Mommy is going to get sicker before she gets better. And he was good with that. He's had a couple of questions. For a long time, I would never let him see my scar, because my scar it's pretty hideous. I had to give up bikini season. Ha ha. I haven't worn a bikini in forever. But now, if he walks in the bedroom and, I don't have my bathrobe on, it's okay. He's not freaked out by it. And now it's just so routine. It's just part of our life. It's like brushing your teeth. It's like, oh yeah, it's Wednesday. Mom's got chemo. Oh good, Mr. Snow's picking me up. I get a good breakfast today. That answer your question, Miss Cindy?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Questions?
You said that, you went to the doctors every year and stuff, but yet on your sign, your face, it said you had a colonoscopy. Had you had one?
No.
Or were you under the age, or why?
I was 44. I am still not old enough for a colonoscopy. I had no signs and I had no symptoms of colorectal cancer. It does happen. It's not in my family. My mother has 15 brothers and sisters. My father has 8. There is no colon cancer in my family. We did the genetic testing just in case there's a mutated gene, and I did it for my boys, just in case. There is no genetic link. It's just a fluke. A year after my surgery, Dr. Buff, we're talking, and he says, we need to schedule you another colonoscopy. It's been a year. And then he looks at me and he said, we need to get a look down there. I'm like, ooh, that's too much. And I went for a colonoscopy, and it was post. I had to have a specialist, and they had to use a pediatric, they called it a pediatric probe. Oh my God, I need to be asleep. Ooh. And they found absolutely nothing. And praise God, they found absolutely nothing when they were in there. And afterwards, the insurance company sent me the bill and denied the claim. Said, you're not old enough for a colonoscopy. I had to call them, and I said, think you need to look for your records. And I can hear the girl typing away, and then they go, oh, yeah, I think we're going to pay for this. Yeah. So yeah, I was not old enough for a colonoscopy. But my theme has been, if you have any changes in your bathroom routine, and if you're 50, get your colonoscopy. Insist on a colonoscopy. Yeah, I'm just a fluke. I'm weird. I am blessed. I am blessed in so many different ways. My colon's just fluky. Questions? Come on.
Could you help people understand if they go to another church, how can they, as ladies from the church, when they hear somebody has cancer or has something like this, how can they step forward and help? People always say, if you need me, call me, and that's not going to happen.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to call you and say, "Could you come help me?" Because I can take care of myself, right? The things that this church has done for me, and I asked for no meal train because my husband is an extremely picky eater, and I just said, you know what, it's going to be a waste of food. I'm having chemo. I'm not really eating anyway. But people would bring, when I lost tons of weight, they'd bring sweets over. Even Michelle brought me a chocolate chip chocolate pound cake, and it was still warm. Yeah, I ate the whole thing. People just came and offered to babysit and help me with Lathan. During the summer, there were a couple families here that took him for the day on days that I wasn't feeling well, or days that I was hooked up to chemo. I didn't want him to see all this stuff. I have a port up here. People came and prayed for me. Lots of people emailed me. They put things on my Facebook. I had one person who came over and filled my iPod with Christian music. So when I went into chemo, if I just needed to block everything out, I could put it in my ears and turn it up. Mr. and Mrs. Snow have taken care of Lathan. People sat with me. I called it my babysitting. When days that I was hooked up on chemo at home, they just came over and they talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. And I loved it. We had one person here, Miss Chris, who was my director of social services, who arranged it. And at the beginning, she would tell me who was coming. Well, even all the time she would tell me who was coming. She would send me an email. And after a while, I just stopped opening the emails. I knew someone was coming. It was like a surprise. Who came to the door? Like, woohoo, somebody knew. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. People talked. I learned so much about people. I met people that I didn't really know in the church. I can't even tell you the things that people have done. My husband got tickets to a Patriots game with his buddies from college, and I really wanted him to go. I mean, he needs some guy time. He needs some time away from me. I'm a handful. Without cancer, I'm a handful. And one of my friends came over and sat with me that night so that I wouldn't be alone, so that Rich could go to a football game with his buddies. I had people who just found out about side effects. I had a lot of mouth sores. Someone brought me chapstick. Said, hey, my company makes this. Here's some chapstick. I had all kinds of different flavors. It was really cool. Cards. I probably have 500 cards. Letters, calls, emails, you name it. But people stepped up and they said, I am doing this for you. Even when we said no meal train, people showed up with food anyway. She's not here, but someone in our church, my husband likes their beef stew better than mine. So look at him, is shooting. No, just kidding. Lots and lots and lots of things, and it was a coordinated effort. But Michelle had to talk to me and make me say yes.
What things would you recommend people saying, and what things would you recommend people not saying?
That's a tough one. What should people say and what should people not say? This whole time, I've wanted to feel normal. I wanted to feel like the old Stephanie. I'm never going to be the old Stephanie again. I'm just not. I've changed. My body has changed. My appearance has changed. Mostly my hair has changed, and I hate it. But every person in this church comes up to me every Sunday and says, you look good. You look good. And sometimes I'll say it, I look awful. Look at my hair, you can see my scalp. But they say, you look good. You feeling good? Because you look good. And there are, thank you. I hate my hair. I can see my scalp. But there were times that I just wanted to talk about what was going on. You know, how miserable I was, the side effects. You know, I don't know if you guys have noticed, we've all just kind of joked about the side effects. I have spent more time in the bathroom in the last 2.5 years than most people spend at work. So someone in this room actually sent me a card with an outhouse on the front with a little piece of toilet paper on it. I framed it. I was like, okay, I can do this. Yeah. So for me, a lot of laughter, a lot of just joking around about it. It is what it is. Move on. I had chest pains, and I had to visit the doctor for my shot. And this person works at the hospital and usually joins me on their coffee break for my shot, my Neupogen. And we're talking, and I never said anything. When we got in to see the nurse, I said to the nurse, don't freak out. I have to tell you something. Don't freak out, though. I'm having chest pains. She freaked out. Okay? She freaked out. They put me in a wheelchair. They wheeled me back to the ER. And when they took my shirt off and start putting the heart monitor on me, I freaked out. I started crying uncontrollably, and this woman leaned across all these nurses and technicians who were going, oh my God, she's a cancer patient, she's having chest pain, ah! And she grabbed my hand and she started praying out loud. And I stopped crying. I said, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Those are the things that I needed. Maybe different for other people. And let's face it, I said I wanted to be normal. I am not normal. I have never been accused of being normal in my life, have I? Thank you. Other questions? This is your chance. I've already showed you my underwear. What about the chemo? Am I still getting as sick? Yes and no. After the 12th round, when that stopped, when I restarted after the remission, I was on a different chemo. So the side effects are a little bit different. And this time, I don't have to do 3 days, I only do 1 day. And they have a drug called 5-FU. Yeah, that's its real name. And that's what it did to you. I don't have to take the 5-FU anymore, so I have a little less. But the side effects are lingering. In June of this year, I lost the hearing in my left ear. Not the right ear, just the left ear. And they have no idea. They attribute it to the chemo, and then they say, but it should be both ears. It shouldn't just be one ear. Oh, yeah, Stephanie, never mind. Yeah, it can be just one ear. I have no feeling in my hands and feet, so I fall down all the time. I can't wear heels anymore. Whatever. Heels are overrated. So I have some lingering side effects, you know. Yes. Yes. Every other week, forever. I will. How will I adjust to the accumulation? I will just take it. Do they tell me what to expect? Yes. Before you start on a chemo drug, they sit down with you with these big reams of paper and they go over every drug and all the side effects. And each drug is like 10 pages long. And I've had every side effect, and I have had side effects that were not known to those drugs. Like they're on the phone with Dana-Farber going, we've never seen this before, but she's got a rash. So I've had things that they've never seen before. Part of that is because I'm younger than most colon cancer patients. I have no other underlying health conditions, so they've given me mega doses. It's fun. Just move The last couple of doctor's visits, the blood protein that indicates colon cancer has been in the normal range for a normal person, not a colon cancer person. So I have been broaching the subject with Dr. Buff of, can I go to every 3 weeks? There's no science backing that up if I can go to 3 weeks. Could I take a month off? Those kinds of things. So it's kind of a negotiation. Yes. Because, why do I still have to do it? Because there are still cancer cells in my body, and if we stop, they will spring up. So we're really looking, chemo kills the cancer, but because it had already gone through my lymph node system and through my whole body, there's no way to kill every cancer cell. So this is my life. So we pray for a cure, and we pray that I'm still healthy so that when Dana-Farber comes up with something, Penny, please get to work on this. You're our scientist here. Please get to work on something that turns off the cancer cells, that I will be healthy enough to be the first person to use it. I will be the first person in line. Sign me up, baby. Let's turn it off. Yes? Have I considered marijuana? Awesome! Yes. I have a supplier all lined up. I have been back and forth. I now have a good relationship with Dr. Buff, who is, he's a scientist. He's very straight-laced. And I used to say, hey, dude, I work in Massachusetts. They have marijuana laws. Marijuana is more for the nausea, and I haven't had the nausea. Mine's all been the other end. If it were offered to me and if it would help, I would absolutely, absolutely. I went to college. I inhaled. I know what it is. Oh my God, my parents are going to see this. Wipe that out. Yeah. No, there is, and it is permanent nerve damage in my hands and feet. It had gotten to the point with the 5FU that my feet hurt so bad that I couldn't walk, and I spent one weekend in bed crying, and even the sheet touching my feet hurt. And it was that point that Dr. Buff said, okay, enough 5FU, we're done with that. But it's been over a year. It's permanent. Just, when you get an email from me and it has typos in it, it's because I can't feel the tips of my finger when I type anymore. When I fall down, just kind of ignore me and step aside. I don't feel my feet. So, yeah, I know you have neuropathy too. You just live with it. Whatever. It's the least of my problems. It truly is. Am I as toxic as I was? No. When I was on the 3 days of chemo, my body was toxic. They're putting this in your body. It needs to come out. So there would be like 5 days when I couldn't touch anyone. They call it social isolation. I can't shake hands. I can't hug anyone. I have to be really careful of being around anyone with a cold. My white blood cells are in the toilet. Literally, they're in the toilet. So it's not quite as bad. A couple weeks ago, Michelle likes to go with me to chemo because I'm unconscious and then she can do things to me she couldn't normally do, like draw on my face.
The only time I get to talk.
Exactly. So we were next to a gentleman, which normally we sit over in the corner with some ladies and we have a good time. I live in the corner. I am banished to the corner. We're sitting next to this guy, and it was one of his first rounds of chemo, and they're talking to him about the toxicity, and they're telling him, when you pee, you need to flush twice. When you do the other, you need to flush 3 times. It's the chemo's coming out, you're toxic. The guy next to him leans over and says, buddy, I had weeds in my yard, so I went out and peed on them on my toxic days. I took care of them. So all of you who live in Fremont, when you see me out in my yard, I'm killing weeds. No, I'm smoking pot and killing weeds. It's better than Roundup. My insurance company already paid for it. So each round of chemo costs about $30,000.